so we can see you on the other. Well, turn it very fast. 1, 2, 3.
What do you mean?
Forget it. Hi, how are you, everybody? Welcome to episode number what, Denise? Number 4,
No, this is oh yeah,
3,
no,
5.
this is number 5 of season 4
Okay.
of our senior resources library
Hello, Jean.
Facebook, senior resources services.
And we're having a bumpy start. Denise is using a different device today.
Very bumpy start. I had no sound if I logged onto my computer, so I'm on my cell phone.
Hi, Yuri. Hi, Susan. Thank you for being here. So, where can everybody find you, Denise? Very quick.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. That's where you can find me. Just look for Denise Lanzarone, and there I am.
And we're live on Denise's Facebook page and on my Facebook page. You can find me at Sandra Roman Real Estate everywhere too. And today, we have a special guest. Who is our special guest, Denise?
Our special guest is Susan Capruso, and she is a end-of-life doula. Very interesting. I find this fascinating. And she is going to talk to us about legacy, her legacy book. And
let's bring her on.
Bring her
Ready?
on.
1, 2. Ta-da! Welcome. Thank you for being here with us, Susan.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Denise. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, congratulations on the show. And thank you so much for having me today. And I'm hoping that we can educate a few people. Most people don't know what an end-of-life doula is, and with some of the other things that I can do.
What is an end-of-life
my
doula?
practice. I'm about to tell you.
But
So I want to tell you first the reason why I became an end-of-life doula. And this was about 7 years ago. And my husband called me at work and he says, I think I have the flu. And I said, okay, well, you're a big boy, get under the blankets. Denise is scrolling over. There she is.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is the flu didn't go away in a couple of days. It got worse. And we took him to the emergency room. And I lived at the hospital with him for 55 days. He had the regular flu. This was well before COVID, of course. And his lungs had caved. He was a smoker since he was 15 years old. And I know that had a big part to do with it. However, he passed away in 55 days. Within the next 24 months, 13 more people in my immediate family passed away. Oh, and that was really frightening. Close people. So my mom, my sister, my brother, my in-laws, my 2 neighbors, they were 99, so I knew that was coming soon. But my friend and my first cousin that I grew up with, and many people within that 24-month period. And what I saw, the lesson learned during these 24 months was that when a person passes, we have a 2-hour wake to go to, right? And we're expected to grieve in this process, in this 2-hour wake. And it just can't be done. There's not enough time. So I knew that we were doing something wrong here in our country. And I did a little investigating as to how they grieve end of life in other countries. And as I was doing this, I was a little stressed with my job that I had worked in my career at corporate my whole life. And through my research, I found out that an end-of-life doula was one of the up-and-coming.
But first, before you go on, I just got curious. I told you I was the question lady.
Ask your questions. I'm good.
I got curious. What differences did you find with other countries? Um,
Oh, so other countries, yeah,
coping with death.
yeah. So there are a lot of doulas around the world in other countries. And isn't it funny that I've been in my practice for 5 years now, and most households don't know what an end of life doula is. So I've been educating a lot and talking to people about it. But in other countries, it's a natural thing. They have rituals. They spend days with a family member.
Mhm.
Um, there are many different rituals for. Oh,
Oh, Denise,
did she
she
fall off
fell.
the chair?
She-
No, that was just the phone call over. It's
Guess,
okay, everybody.
as you can tell, this is not a very serious show.
Well, it has to be for a few minutes when I talk about end of life here.
Okay.
Yes,
Because
I know.
why?
I,
Dying is scary,
it is.
and most people are afraid to die, right? They call it, it's really fear of the unknown. That's what it is.
Mhm.
So I've worked along individuals and their families who are really afraid and they don't know what to do during this time. They don't know how to navigate this time. So instead, nobody talks about it, conversations aren't had, things get pushed under the carpet, and they don't know what to do, how to act, or what to say. So, like a birthing doula, have you both heard of a birthing doula, correct?
Yes.
Birthing doulas bring babies into the world
Oh,
in a
yes.
warm and celebratory way. But so end of life doulas really do the same thing, except on the other spectrum. They help people leave the world
Exit.
in a warm and a peaceful way, without stress and anxiety. So end of life doulas help families holistically, emotionally, spiritually, and practically to flow through one of the most difficult challenges in our lives, because that's what this time is. So
When
different
does
doulas.
when does
Yeah.
the when does the end of life doula work starts?
Okay, that's a
Or
really good question,
where can
Sandra.
it start?
Really, really good question. All right, because when people learn about a doula, they think, oh, okay, well, I need you the last 2 weeks because I'm really scared and I don't know what to do. My ideal client is somebody who has a diagnosis that's 9 to 12 months away.
What about, for example, because I'm having an issue here.
Tell me.
For example, my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's. He is 82 and he is deteriorating, kind of, he's progressing on his
Is
illness.
Journey.
Okay. So when should a family ask or reach out for an end of life doula in a case like that?
Okay, so it depends
Because
on
it
a few
let me
factors.
just because in my fathers, and they live in Mexico to start with, but in this case my mom, she doesn't want to accept the diagnose, and she is in denial that that it it's going to progress and that something is going to happen sooner or later, you know.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So that's a really good point because I don't only come in to help the individual. I'm there to guide and support the family.
Yes.
And and this is huge. To give you an idea, I'm there to educate our bodies, no matter, regardless of Parkinson's, cancer, what we have, our bodies all generally shut down in the same way.
Mhm.
Okay, so to give you an idea, there are little things that I'll throw out to the family for education purposes, like towards the end. Um, they might not have an appetite the first and they won't want to eat. And it's
Mhm.
important not to force them to eat because
Yeah.
a person not only not hungry, but their throat muscles are getting softer and weaker and they don't want to swallow, but they're not starving and they're not hungry. Now, everybody, generally everybody, will go through this at the end of life. So if this is something that I can educate a family early on, earlier on than before the event itself happens. Then when the time comes and they're so scared, well, he's not eating, please eat a little more applesauce, eat a little more. And when I can hold somebody's hand and say, listen, remember we spoke about this. Remember I told you about this, that this was going to happen? Everything's right on track. It's supposed to unfold this way. And this is what's happening next. They go, oh, that's right. Phew, with a sigh of relief that everything's happening exactly the way it should.
Mhm.
Now, there's different reasons to come into a person's life a little bit sooner than later. I specialize in legacy work, all right? Not a financial legacy, but a creative legacy. Now, a person that's it's the end of their life, if it's just a few weeks before, yeah, I'll come in. I'll help set the space as you go through the transition period. But the valuable things happen in the months prior to that,
Mhm.
when you're still healthy enough to speak, have conversations. We work on the legacy book that I do with many people. I'll tell you about that in a second. Um, we write letters, we have conversations, we make amends with people. I even help people, with bucket lists. I'll tell you a funny story. And my friend, not my friend, my client, the individual was only 72, but they become my friend. So that's why I call her that. And I had taken her on a few trips to the beach, and she was happy that I was able to help her. She didn't have much family. And it was about a week to 2 weeks before she passed. And she's laying in bed one day, and I said to her, Roberta, I said, if there was one thing that you never got a chance to do in your life that you always wanted to do, and these are the kind of conversations that I have with people, I said, what would that be? So she says, I don't even have to think about it. I know that. She said, my entire life, I've always wanted to go to a Rolling Stones concert, and I've never got the chance. And I said, Roberta, of all things, I don't think that even me can get Mick Jagger to come here and sing to you this week. I don't think it can be done. And we laughed and blah, blah, blah. I go home. Bothered me, right? For a while, the rest of that afternoon. I go home and I said, hey, I ran to Best Buy. I spent $500 and I bought the Oculus. And we all know what an Oculus is now, right?
Oh, the one that you put on your face for virtual thingies? Yes.
That's right. Thingies, thingies. I like that word. So got the Oculus, set it up that night. You can go on YouTube through the Oculus and
Mhm.
found a 2-hour Rolling Stones concert. The next day I go to see her and I say, Roberta, sit up. We're putting on your best sweater. You're going to see the Rolling Stones.
That's
I have a picture of her because for privacy, but she had the mask on, so you couldn't see her. And she was like this, with her hands in the air, singing the entire 2 hours. The concert ends, and she took the Oculus off, and she said to me, Susan, this was the best present that anybody ever gave me in my life. And it did bring a tear to my eye. Well, in the back of my head, I thought, oh, I hope you got some really great presents besides this one. But it just told me what a valuable, valuable thing that was. And it was such a little thing that I can provide her. And a week later, she was gone. So I try, doulas try and do things like that with the person. And gifting before you pass to your family. Writing
What
letters.
about the family? What is the work with the family?
What's
Or
the work
is
with the family?
do you work with the family members or just with
For the
the
family members,
person?
yeah, but it's mainly, my job really is for the person who's passing. I'm like
Okay.
their travel agent. I help them navigate this whole time on
Okay.
what we can do next to make it a better experience, unfortunately, but that's what it is. So for the family, I guide and support the family. I can be a liaison for the family between a hospice team that comes in, any medical people that come in. As of now, and we're working on this, but a doula is only private pay. So I go in for blocks of time.
Okay.
Depending on the family, I might go in for 3 hours at a time or 4 hours, maybe 1 to 3 days a week. When it gets closer to a person's passing, yeah, the fear comes and they'll want me there a little bit longer. But it's really up to the person, the family and the individual, what they're going through. I've come into a person's life the last week or two as well, and help them through that transition stage. But there's so many valuable things, not just a doula, that family members can do during that second stage. This is a whole presentation I give on the 3 stages of end of life. One is the shock phase, second is the stabilization phase, and third is the transition phase. So in that stabilization phase, it's where you're not so much in pain anymore. All of that's under control, and you're accepting a little bit more of what's about to happen. The majority of clients I've worked with do come full circle. I've had maybe one or two that are bitter and can't find acceptance with leaving the world or having those close conversations with family.
How difficult it's for a person to search for a doula or for a family to um, get a doula for a person that it's in that process.
Good question. And it's become much easier. So when I
Mhm.
started 5 years ago, I believe I was pioneering here on Long Island as the only doula that I knew of. Since then, I can actually, pull up websites, national websites. One's called NEDA, NEDA. Um, there are a couple others that have directories by state of doulas. And you can also just research yourself on Google, end of life doula on Long Island, end of
Yeah,
life doula in
it's
Chicago.
becoming something because it's a very, very, how can I put it in words? Talk about death is, difficult for families. And sometimes families or people is not open to find someone. Is
That's
it,
right. And not
is it
everybody,
still like a taboo, like something bad, like something like
no,
that,
no,
or it's
no,
becoming?
because of the doulas that are educating like I am,
Hmm.
and talking to people and letting them know that the experience of having a doula versus not having a doula.
Hmm.
It's like, I don't want to use this analogy, but like a wedding planner,
Yeah.
somebody that can really give you that beautiful wedding besides yourself. And again, not everybody needs that wedding planner,
Hmm.
but there are people who want guidance and hand holding and support, soup to nuts from beginning to end. And people need that. Other people are alone. Who's researched as far as a doula? I've gotten calls from nieces and nephews and grandchildren that maybe don't live in the state or that don't plan on spending a lot of time with grandma because they just can't,
Hmm.
so they want somebody, to come in and be there. We're completely non-medical, so I don't do any of the medical things, none of the things that an aide would do, with helping, with hygiene and cleaning. I work on the mental and emotional things
Hmm.
and spiritual, depending on where the person's at. So I hope that answered your question again. But again, if I come in a little bit earlier during that middle stage, that stabilization phase, that's the golden nugget, the golden area that not only a doula, that families, that you at home, that caregivers can work on certain things. I
Hmm.
don't have enough time to tell you about all these things,
Yeah.
in the short amount of time we have here. But you can be that support system for somebody in your life. You can be the one, I call it.
Hmm.
Different doulas specialize in different things. To give you an idea, I knew a doula that was a massage therapist during her life. So she brought the power of touch. It was important for her to use massage with her clients And she was good at it and experienced at it. I knew another doula who was in the veterinary field her whole life. Animals are so important to her. So when she became an end of life doula, she brings the power of having animals that she brings in for comfort and support. And she does it. That's something I would never do. You know, I wouldn't be bringing puppy dogs and cats, and that's not my thing. It's nice, but it was her thing. So it's important that when you research out a doula, to really have conversation with them and figure out some of the things that they may do versus another doula, you know, because they may not do a lot. They may be there for companionship, and that's what they do. You know, different doulas bring different things to the table. So I'm a writer, and I've written 3 books during my end of life career here now for 5 years. And I specialize in creative legacy work. And again, that's not financial. I started telling you that at the beginning, but we create the story of your life. And this is really, really important for me because I didn't know. I'm giving a presentation in 2 weeks, and I have a picture of my grandfather holding a fish. Now, I went and spent every weekend. My mother brought us to her dad's house, and what did I know about him, though? I know he liked to fish, and I know he had a freezer full of fish in his kitchen. But I played outside with my cousins and I did other things, and I never really got to know, how did my grandparents meet? You know, what were they like when they were young? What are some of the things that they did when they were younger? What were their parents like? Did they know their grandparents? You know, these are really important things. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute and why that's so important for me. But in the end, part of the work that I do, and again, I can't do this when I come into a client's life 2 weeks before they pass, but the family ends up, and I want the individual that I'm doing this for, I want this finished before they go. This is important for them to have. It's a tangible 12 by 12 book between 75 and 100 pages. And the pages are cardboard like, they can't be tattered and torn, and it's high quality, and they're passed down through generations to generations. They're filled with memories, right? Experiences, life wisdom. One of my recent clients was 40 years old with 2 young children. Her book, and she's been all over the world into almost every country you could think of, and the things she did, she was amazing at I was in awe of this woman. Spoke 7 languages, but the book wasn't about everything she did. So that was included, of course, but the main intention of us doing this legacy book for her was to give her children life wisdom, and we did that through all of their ages and milestones. She talked directly to each child. One was a girl, one was a boy. She talked to them when they go to junior high, when they go to their first prom. She talked to them about falling in love. And she went on and on. And this was just a beautiful thing. Uh, you know, we talked about meeting their spouse for the first time and having children and what it's like to be pregnant. She talked to her daughter. And the life wisdom and the wishes that she provided through that book, I'll tell you something right now. Her daughter is 12, okay? Her daughter is going to have that book on her coffee table when she's 80 years old, showing people that this is my mom. You know, look at this. This is my mom. And it's a big, giant, beautiful creation. I've been invited to funerals of people that I had finished the book with. And the person asked a couple months after we completed the book. And this is why this is really important. She held that book in her hands as hospice, as neighbors, as friends, as family came into her house to see her every single day. And with every person that came in, she says, look, this is the story of my life. She was so proud of that book. It helped her to come full circle in a way by reviewing and reflecting And going back to, we started a timeline. I started a timeline with my legacy books, which is usually, let's go back to your 5-year-old bedroom. And what did it look like? And tell me, what was some of they're not closed end questions that I ask. I ask questions so that they snowball and they go into other conversation. And I talk about what their room looked like and what did they hang on their walls? What kind of toys did you love to play with? And before you know it, I actually, and this is important for everybody to know, I actually did this with a small group of 90 somethings. Okay. And they said to me when I got there for our first session, we don't even know why we came today because I'm not going to remember anything that happened before I was 50. The other one said to me she had to go to a doctor's appointment. She didn't know if she could stay. The other one says, I hate writing. I'm not going to. Okay. They all had these excuses. But when I talked about their 5-year-old bedroom and their early days in school, they all picked up the pen and started writing. It was a journaling workshop that I did in an assisted living. And they were laughing. One remembered her first boyfriend in kindergarten.
Ooh.
And I'm telling you, it blew me away, the things that they could remember. So, this is really important. And I started telling you, I think, so the woman that showed her book to everybody that came into her house for 2 months, when she passed, the family invited me to the funeral. So I sat in the back corner because I didn't know, of course, most of the people that were there. And her granddaughter got up. The granddaughter was about 14 years old. And she talked about her grandma and how there's so much that she'll never get to know and that she shared because she lived with her grandmother for quite a few years before she passed. She took my book that they brought to the funeral home, not my book, I'm sorry, her book, and held it in her hands and held it up in the air. And she said, do you see that woman back there in the corner, Susan Caperto? If she did not do this for my grandma, I would never know these things. My children one day wouldn't know it, and their children would never know it. So thank you, Susan. And she's in tears. This is powerful stuff, that people need to do. Everybody needs to do it. We're all the ancestor today. So now I'm at an event, and I was educating people with my story. And a person, I let them know that I do this legacy work with terminal clients. She was about 72. She stood up and she says, okay, this all sounds great. This is in front of 150 people, right? And I hate public speaking. She says, this all sounds great, but I'm 72. I'm healthy. I'm vibrant and living my life. And I have so many stories, in my few marriages and my travels that I want to leave my grandchildren and their children. Why don't you work with healthy people? And from that day on, it clicked. And I said, you know something? People need to get this done. So I got to tell you, majority, it's 50-50 really for me, terminal and healthy clients.
That was a question. Can you do that for everyone?
Oh yeah, of course. And it's
The
so
sooner the better.
It's a fun project. That's the thing. And after I leave, after being with somebody for 4 weeks in a row, we spend about 2.5 hours together each week. By the time we're through, they want to keep going. They're like, but I have more. Can you come back? Because it's fun to review and reflect and go through your timeline, and you remember things that you wouldn't have remembered if I wasn't there with you, prompting you. And all of us today, both of you guys and me, we're the ancestors really of tomorrow. And it's really, really important to know that this is an obligation. It's not just a fun family project that you're doing and getting done for your family. We really have an obligation, honestly, for future generations to connect our generations, to connect the history between us. I can't even tell you how much I've seen disconnect in the world. Families don't talk anymore. Kids graduate college and stay in the town where they went to school and don't come home. Sunday dinners are rare with extended family, like
Yeah.
I had when we were little, and you did, had theme nights and Italian and Greek. And they're just not doing it anymore. They're just not doing it. So it's really important, I think, to bring back that sense of connectedness between
Yes.
family and generations.
Especially
Um,
if you move out of the country, then you're disconnected completely.
no doubt. And you know what's really, really exciting for me? Uh, I just, I got an aha moment, and this is the honest truth. At 3 in the morning, I call it, I say when that's when God talks to me the most. I felt like He slapped me in the head, and I sat up, and I'm wide awake, and I'm like, what? Okay, okay, okay. So what He did a while back is say to me, yes, you're helping one person at a time to leave their story, but you can help more people
Mhm.
by training people to do exactly what I do and to take this into their communities and in their circles and get to so many more people. They can honor and serve so many more people in their own, catch bases in their own communities. So this is what I've been working on over the last 6 months, and it's been. I have a lot of people reaching out. So I'm holding a free presentation on Eventbrite, and my first one will be in 2 weeks, but I'm going to continue to hold these each month so people could come in, listen for an hour about legacy, and see maybe if it's something that's right for them
Mhm.
moving forward. Whether it's working a full-time or just having Saturday clients, but it's another branch of revenue stream that you can bring into your life. So it's a really rare and golden opportunity to be able to connect these generations together. And you don't know how powerful it is unless I tell some of these stories, because I've been through them firsthand. But it will give our future generations a feeling of um, confidence and validation, and roots in their culture and a heritage that will really say to them, you'll be okay too. I've been through this, and you can do it too, and you've got this. And that's really a rooted feeling, to feel safe that you came from somewhere in the world. Not knowing your grandparents or great grandparents. I just did a newsletter. I put a newsletter out this week, and it was two older gentlemen, black and white pictures, with holding phones with two baby pictures that apparently it shows that it's them. And I made up two stories, okay, about each man. And the one was Oliver. I made it up. And I said Oliver was so loved in his community. People came from hundreds of miles to see Oliver because he was actually the first man in the state of something to have an adoption, a pet adoption agency. So people would come from all over and spend time in the backyard. There was an acre, and people played and scampered around and got to know the possible puppy or kitty cat that they were bringing home. And this was huge. He was in the newspapers, and he was so kind and loving, and everybody knew Oliver from all over. And then I wrote, could you imagine if this was your great great grandfather? And you never
Mhm.
even knew this. But by knowing these stories and these things and their wishes for their future generations, the one that they're never going to get a chance to meet, wow, it's so cool. It's so comforting. And it can give people a sense of that. And then I did another story for the other man. He did something else. But not until you hear these stories do you really understand the power in, wow, if I only knew, it would give you such a connectedness. So whether you're creating a legacy for yourself, whether you're helping a loved one to create a legacy, or you hire somebody to help do that legacy,
Mhm.
or maybe you're even a caregiver. Okay, this is very easy to do. to help them write some stories. So it may not be the end version of the book that I do. Pick yourself up a pretty journal, okay? Or a marble notebook, for heaven's sake, or a legal pad. Keep it in the living room on the table, and maybe make yourself a timeline through the years, how you want to approach it. You know, when they lived there, when they were 10 years old, when they were 15, and think of some questions and just tackle one chunk at a time. That's all. Tackle one piece at a time. And even if you have to journal for the person or type it on your computer, anything. When I say anything, I mean one Word document can change lives. When my mother passed away, I had a few things of hers in a box that my brother brought me, and there was a letter on the bottom. It was from her great aunt, not her first aunt, her great aunt, that lived on a farm here on Long Island and had chickens and cows and pigs and all these things, and wrote my mother a letter, who only lived in Call Place, that's right by Westbury, and wrote her this 2-page letter about everything she does during the day. And I can't wait for you to come and stay and this and that. And my 22-year-old niece, so this would have been my great aunt. And for my 22-year-old niece that was standing here, it was her great aunt, right? Is it 3 greats or 4? I'm losing track now. I read the letter, okay? And she's 22. And she's standing here in my kitchen, and she has a tear in her eye, a little tear. And she says, Aunt Sue, do you have any more of these? And I said, no. And it was so delicate on the paper, you know, it was like a treasure holding it. And I said, why? What's wrong? She said, because this is my bloodline, you know, my lineage. This is where I came from. Was I like her? Did I look like her? And asking me questions. And unfortunately, no, I only had one letter. So one of the other things that I'm going to now, I've just recently started incorporating in the book that you could do if you're helping your family or loved one to do some of this legacy work. Have other family members write a letter. Just write a letter that you can fold in 3 and put it in the back of the book. Not a letter on how much you loved Grandpa Joe, but a letter on what they meant to you and what they meant to other people and some of the stories and memories that you remember. Mm-hmm. And in your book or in my book, all of these letters will be placed in the back of the book. So that's a big piece of history too, when you can do something like that.
Yeah, letters and pictures. My mom has pictures from my grandma and my grand aunt. That's how you say great aunt, or I don't know.
Yeah.
When they were young and beautiful, and they had all these nice dress from, I don't know, 1900s or something.
Right, exactly. And that's important to tell you part of the story. So in the book that I do, there are photos included.
Yeah, photos are important too.
So photos are definitely important.
Let me read something. We have comments here, a lot of comments.
Oh, really? Wait, can I say one thing? Before I go on, I'll stop and you can read the comments. But I want to, while I'm thinking of it, I wanted to give one tip to caregivers.
Okay.
Because we have the greatest amount of people over the age of 65 that we've ever had in the entire history of the world right now. So we all know that there are many caregivers. You read about it, you see it all over. You may be a caregiver yourself. You may be a paid caregiver for somebody. Whatever kind of, especially, I'm saying this for paid caregivers, okay? You're spending so much time with this person during the week. You don't need to watch TV all the time.
I know.
Right? You can actually pick up that notebook, a marble notebook from the dollar store, and you can actually sit with them and spend even a couple hours a week just asking them a couple questions and journaling. You journal and you're writing their story a little bit and things, that memories and experiences they're having. And guess what? That will become a treasure for the family.
Yes.
They will love and appreciate and kiss you up and down, believe me, because it's so powerful. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. We have Jean. Hello, Jean. We have Judy. And, oh, hold on. We have Susan, Joanne, Michelle. And we have here Marianne. I'm sorry with my reading. I'm the worst. And Sue, she has this comment that my daughter gave me a book to fill out about me from where I was born till today. It will be for my granddaughter.
Excellent. Now, let me make a comment on that.
Yes.
Fill it out. So keep it in your living room or wherever you watch TV and pick that up even once a week. Make a plan with yourself that every Friday night, I'm going to fill out a page and just continue to do it. You don't have to rush getting through it because guess what? Even half of that book or a quarter of that book is going to be so much more than nothing, right? So the problem with the books is that the people who receive them love the idea, they think it's great, and then don't end up filling them out. I've talked to so many people that put them on a shelf and just don't do it. So thank you for making that comment because that's really important to know that even though an hour a week, a half hour a week, whatever it is, please just get some of your thoughts and memories and good things, bad. Make it a book about your wishes. Talk to each one of your grandchildren if you have them, and write them a love letter. Write each grandchild a love letter. How they were born and how you felt the day you got to the hospital and how you treasure them. There's, once you start writing, that's called journaling when you do it yourself like that. But the memories and the thoughts flow. Write letter. It's simple as writing letters to all your family and leave it in that book.
I
Because whether 10, 20, or 30 or 40 years from now, they're going to find that book and
Yeah.
that's going to be their treasure. More than the jewelry in your jewelry box or the tchotchkes in the basement, right? That's going to be their treasure.
Hmm.
Sorry, Denise.
Oh, that's okay. you know what? I apologize. I've had such a bad connection. I keep going in and out, and I'm missing half of you or what you're saying. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch the whole thing. But I am assuming you're talking about my daughter bought me a book, and it's all about me. And like you were just saying, I'm looking around for it. I don't even know where it is, but I did not write one thing in it yet. But
There
I'm
you
It's
go.
still in the shelf.
There
I
you go.
I don't know where.
There's a good example of things that you
Good
should do with
example.
that book.
And
Yeah.
then, girls, I've had people say their children gift them this legacy book. And they're healthy, they don't have a terminal diagnosis. They gift it. And the first thing they say to me is, I don't know what I'm going to possibly say. And it's all wrong once they start to see everything unfold and blossom. Because you know what? No matter what you've done in life, we we've all lived and had a life and we've learned and we've been through every one of our challenges. And this is the thing, we weren't meant to be born here on earth and to go back home one day knowing nothing. I believe in my heart this is like a life school, and God's given us all challenges that we need to go through to learn and teach and support other people in our lives, right? So, what a blessing to be able to tell your family that, this happened and this happened, and well, our family was toxic and we screamed at each other no matter what it is, you're a stay-at-home mom all your life. Well, wow, you have a lot of stories to tell being a stay-at-home mom. And, you have so much to share with those future generations, along with, think of this, recipes and photos. I
Recipes.
spoke about the letters, but every one of
Recipes.
us are really obligated to leave that thumbprint in history.
Recipes. I started like this is a true story. Crazy. I started recipe book when I was 15. I started writing every recipe I like from my mom. I don't know why. I just start writing. So I have
Good.
that book. It's super old now, of course.
Are
And
there
my
a lot of
mom,
recipes in it?
a lot. It's full. I already started another one with the new recipes from now that
Okay.
I'm a mom, right? And my
So
mom,
Sandra, listen to me. This is important. Yes,
okay, listening.
the handwriting's so great. So treasure that book. But there are many websites now online that give you a recipe book template to add your own
Mm.
photos, to type in your own recipes, and to publish that book. So inexpensive. I
Hmm.
can't even tell you how inexpensive you can have a hardcover book of your recipes.
Oh, so I have those. And then my mom told me, "Oh, why are you writing all those recipes? Are you moving out soon?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I just
No, because you want to
want to
keep
have them."
them. That's a part of your history, right? And
Yeah.
your love of food and the memories of your mom cooking and doing all
Mm.
these things. And those memories are really nice, you know. When I talk to people, you know, in this project, we talk about food and what was some of your favorites and do you still make them now? And when you think about that, you can smell the food, you can taste the food,
Hmm.
you know, but you need to be in deep conversation about it and ask the right questions,
Okay, we
you
have
know.
some other comments.
Go ahead.
Michelle says, "I tell my mom all the time how important it is to write down the story of her life." We have Jean. Let me show it to you. I don't know if you can see it.
I
I
can.
already okay, I have already done this and added letters to children on birth of their children and marriage.
I love it.
My story matches husbands for 43 years with a few extra nonos of my, how do you say that word?
And no knows of her escapades in
What's
life.
escapades?
Her
Oh,
experiences and crazy things, right?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
That's
we have,
perfect. That's perfect.
let me show the next one. Can you read, Denise? Or
I
do I read it with my perfect English?
Yeah, Joanne says I bought a similar book, gave it to my mom, and she was afraid to write in the book. So she answers the questions on paper. Priceless. Oh, that is priceless. She didn't want to mess up the book. That's funny. That's
You know,
great, Jo.
another thing I want to mention today, that you can do this if you did buy your mom or dad one of these books and it's sitting on the shelf. Okay, I wrote one of these books, by the way. Remember Me, the story of my life. It's called. It's on Amazon. But if you can go to Best Buy and you could buy a very simple to use mini recorder. I've seen them from $30. You can get, you know, they go up to thousands, but an excellent version is $100 version. Okay, because there's so much storage on it, but you can get one for half that price. And show them how to hit play, right? And say, work on your book with the recorder, mom. So read the question and then speak and just speak in the recorder and answer it and talk to yourself and talk to the recorder. So that's kind of a cool way of capturing memories if you have somebody that doesn't really want to write.
Yeah.
Because then you have the voice, and anytime you want to hear the voice, you can
Oh my
just hit
gosh.
play
My gosh, what I would give to
to
have
hear a voice again.
recordings of my husband. And I had
Mhm.
them. I had them on my voicemails, in my phone. And about a year after he passed, my phone locked up and they couldn't get it unlocked. And
Oh,
they had to
Oh,
do a restore, and I lost everything on my phone. So, this is also a reason why I don't recommend to anybody listening today, um, to capture everything on your phone. I've had people tell me, no, I have a lot of storage and I record everything on my phone. Well, guess what? That phone could fall out of your pocket when you're getting in your car today and you won't
what
see it.
about put it in a cloud?
They might lose their phone. The phone
No,
might
no,
lock
no.
up.
But
The phone
if
might
it goes
break.
to the, if
So if they
you,
transfer it,
yes,
go home and transfer it. I'm talking about people who just want to leave it in their phones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with video and audio, make sure it's all transferred.
Yes.
So I would have to say today, in summary, that giving your family this roots and history really can give confidence to so many people, even the ones you're never going to get a chance to meet, and validate their existence in the world. You know, it does give a feeling of being grounded, of knowing where you came from, and that somebody somewhere wanted you one day because you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And it also lets it gives full circle to your life when you review your life and reflect on the time spent during each age and on some of the big milestones in your life. And for an older person, it helps their life to come full circle and know that, okay, I did have a good, some people think they've just had a okay or bad life. But when they do exercises like this, they come to realize that, hey, it wasn't that bad. I had challenges, but I made it through. And reviewing and reflecting is a really good thing. And if you decide to journal yourself, it helps you relax. That's a big thing. If you have a notebook that you keep in the living room, and it helps you be in the present moment. And it can actually give you a sense of peace, which I like. We all need a little more peace and relaxation in our lives. So you can preserve your history, and it can be a gift for not only yourself or a family member or your friends or the people that haven't even been born yet. And them getting to know you a little more will absolutely become a treasure. It's a gift in their lives.
Hmm.
You get to know yourself a little better. You'll bring closure to issues that you've
Mhm.
had along the way. It does help you gain clarity and help you see things a little bit differently than when you were going through the challenge or the experience that you're writing about. So I do work personally to do this with others. It becomes a fun project for the person, and they often don't want it to end. But really, you don't need a 75 to 100 page hardcover book that I provide people. You really can do this work all on your own, again, in a marble notebook from the dollar store. Because whatever you can give, my gosh, what a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. It's amazing. I'm taking notes. I always I always take notes, and then I find these little notes all over my desk. I'm like, oh yeah, like the attorney told me all these things to do.
You know what I've been doing? Just now, I'm on my fourth one now, but I've been doing little 2-minute videos for Facebook and LinkedIn, and I just do 2-minute videos. And like the first one was on the accuracy of names and dates and why it's so important when you're doing a project like this. And I have so much fun because it's just a 2-minute video, but I'm giving you tips when you do this at home, for your loved ones or caregivers. Remember what I said, please. Caregivers need to know that this is powerful and it's something they can do instead of watching TV or not having
Exactly.
conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any more comments? We
Uh,
have a
Jean,
minute.
thank you. Thank you for what you do, and congratulations, Denise, on your recent award. Well, thank you, Jean.
Congratulations.
Thank you. uh,
Woohoo, congrats.
I think that's all the comments.
We don't have any comments. Well, where can they find you, Susan?
SusanCaperso.com. That'd be the easiest way. And see the different things that I offer end of life and healthy clients right on the website. My phone number is 631-946-8100.
Oh, that's easy. 8100.
And when is this event, this legacy event?
The event is on the 15th, March 15th at 7 p.m. And you do need to register on Eventbrite, but I've been trying to post every other day. So people are, and it's so funny because with each post I send out, I have a couple more people signing up. So I know it has to be visible. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to send that out a lot. And they can find that on LinkedIn, Susan Caperso, or East End Doula Care on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me put some comments for you to see.
Joanne says that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Put the other
Michelle
one.
says, congrats, Denise, and thank you for a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank everybody for joining in. I apologize that I have been in and out the entire time because I don't know why. No,
Well, now you'll go back and watch your own video.
yeah,
We
Yes.
don't often do that. I have a YouTube channel, an end of life YouTube channel called The Sands of Time 2. And it's all about before, during, and after end of life. But I do a video every week, and once I'm done with the video, I don't go back in and watch it.
yeah,
You just go on to the next one.
exactly.
So now you'll have to go back in and listen.
To go back. I missed your entire first story. So,
I know.
but
But
I
I
will.
thank you girls so much for inviting me here today.
No,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
coming.
coming.
You're
This has been
very
great.
welcome.
What's for next week, Denise, before we go?
Next week we have Nicole Christensen, who is the owner of Care Answered. She does patient advocacy and care coordination. She will be our last show of the season, of this season. But we have a lot of events coming up.
I
Monday.
know Nicole. She's wonderful.
Yeah, Nicole's great.
Yeah.
Live events, we have Monday. I am presenting with a panel about senior options. There's going to be about 6 of us on the panel talking about what we do to help seniors, and that's going to be at the Glen Cove YMCA on this Monday. And then next Wednesday, I'm going to be speaking with Lily Macari and Christine Kavanaugh, an attorney at Sunrise Senior Living in East Setauket. We're going to be talking about senior real estate and protecting your assets. And then, there's lots of things coming up. Save the date, everyone, because on March 16th, we're going to be hosting an happy hour. We just like to show our appreciation to everyone that's on the show, our guests and our listeners. We love that everybody comes every week, and we just like to say thank you. We've been doing this the end of every season, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of networking, meeting a lot of great people, have a drink, have a little something to eat, and it's a good
Go
thing.
home. Hi, Marie. Marie says she got late and she will rewatch the video.
Marie, I'll watch Susan's video with you. Yeah, so happy hour March 16th, 4 to 6 at Butterfields and Hop Hog. We hope you can all come. I'll be sending out invites and posting it online. So come have a drink, say hi, meet everybody in person, and it's a lot of fun.
Join the group if you haven't.
Yes, we have our group on Facebook is Senior Services Resource Group. And
I never remember the name of our group.
I never remember the name of my YouTube channel either. What's with that?
I can hardly remember my name.
That I remember.
Yeah, our group is growing, and we're just posting things in that group just related to senior services and events that are coming up, any information, things like that. So join our group. It's on Facebook. And I think that's all I have to say.
If anybody stumbles across the Eventbrite presentation, I'd love if you shared it with your friends, because you never know, somebody may be looking to do this kind of work in their lives. Empty nesters, if you're getting ready to retire. Some people just want a whole new chapter to do something differently, and they talk well with seniors, and they have a little bit of writing skills, and they'd be a good fit for something like this.
Yeah, I already forwarded it to 2 people who had expressed interest to me.
Oh, thank you.
about becoming
Thank
a
you.
doula. So anyway, so maybe they'll join.
Excellent.
Well,
Thank you.
so I think that's it. Find
That's
us
it.
everywhere, and we'll see you here
What a fun show. Thank you guys for having me.
next week. And besos y adios, gente. Bye bye.